Welcome to day 18 of the Inktober challenge. We already have 17 tangles on our large compilation, and we are just cruising through this month. I hope that if you're doing the compilation, you look back on it and you think, wow, I cannot believe that I've created this. I also hope that you don't notice the tiny little mistakes, a place that maybe you made a line too long or not long enough, or you didn't shade exactly correctly. When it's done like this, like you do not see any of your so-called mistakes. They all blend in. I love it so much. Okay, I have my Micron pen, graphite pencil, and a blending tool. I've got my 2" by 2" bijou tile. This is from Zentangle.com. And then I'm using an 8.5 by 11 piece of white cardstock. And that's all you need. All right, we're going to zoom in on here and take a little peek. This one is called Middleton by Yuru Chen, and she does amazing tangles. She is not a CZT, but she has a beautiful collection of tangles that you really should check out. Okay, this is kind of our first square fragment pattern, meaning that it's done in a square, and depending on how you place your squares, if you place 4 together or you place them in a border, you can change the direction of the pattern inside. There's so many variations when you do these little fragments like this. Okay, let's flip this over, and I'm going to start with my pencil, and I'm going to draw a grid. So I'm going to make a square inside the frame here. And then I'm going to divide it in half, horizontal and vertical. And we did it in pencil first just to make sure that you like the way that it turned out. If you do like the way that that turned out and it looks pretty even, then go ahead and trace it with pen. Even the lines in the center. All right, we have a beautiful square grid to begin with. All right, we're going to go one square at a time, and this will be one fragment of Middleton. So Middleton by itself is one area, and this is going to be putting 4 of them together, okay? So we need to make a square in the corner that takes up about 1/4 of this square. So we're going to go like this and like this. And if you'd like to place them in the rest, we're going to change where it's at. So we're going to put it in this corner over here, and I want to go about halfway down, halfway over. And then it's going to be in this outer corner, about the halfway point to about the halfway point here, and this outer corner. Okay, from that little square, I'm going to go down just a little bit, and I'm going to aura this larger space, but it's going to begin right here where this one started. And I go down, and I go over, and I go back up. That's almost as if this little border here tucks in behind that square. For this next one, we would start on that square again, and then do an inside aura around the rest of the shape. Start at the square, inside aura, start at the square, okay, it's looking pretty cool so far. So really just that first one, this is Middleton, but we're doing it 4 times and changing the direction of the pattern. Okay, now we're going to make a small square inside the smallest square. So another little interior aura like this on all 4 of these. So somebody was asking recently on one of my posts about organic versus inorganic, and I'm going to grab Swiss It real quick. This is more of an organic pattern where you just make the first thing and then you just start building off of each other and going and it grows organically. This one is more of a grid pattern or a fragment pattern where you really need to get all of these steps in and then you can play with the direction of it. Does that make sense? It's less organic. Okay, now we're going to take this little corner of each of these and bring it down to the center, down to the center. Well, look how cool that's looking. And then we're going to go to where we made that first little aura right here, and we're going to bring that down to the center and then also on the other side. So over here, okay, ready for another little square? All right, inside these 4 smallest squares, we're going to make another one. And it's going to just be 2 lines. So this way and this way. And then we're going to ink that in. So it's a little square nestled in that center area. And then we're going to put a line from that corner to this corner. Over in this one, I'm going to put that little square right down, nestled into the center of this tile in that corner. So there and there, ink it in. And add that line to the outer corner. Now you can kind of see, your eyes start to see this like tube, this square tube, and you're looking down inside of it. So cool. Okay, right here, we're going to go towards the center. So we're going to do our little square here. Ink it in. Put that line out to the corner. And this one as well, put it towards the center. And a line out. Okay, ready to make some more lines? I know you're thinking, how can we fit even more lines in this tiny little pattern? But we can. Okay, we're gonna go in this little section right here, this little triangle, and we're gonna do some very, very like side of the tip of your pen, little lines. Same thing on this one. Just filling that in with a nice, gentle background. And then I'm going to turn my tile and do the same thing in these two triangles. So I'm making these nice little lines, which is always a great background. Turn my tile and do these. And this one. And one more section. Okay, look at that. And look at how amazing it looks. I love how we can just draw lines, draw shapes, and then suddenly we have this sort of 3D thing happening where we can see like almost into these little tubes, and these things look like they're popping up off of the page. So amazing. So again, by itself, Middleton is just that one fragment. But then put together, it looks so cool. And now imagine doing it where if this was your bottom right, and then you put 3 more this way, and you had this little tube type thing in the center of 4. Wouldn't that be fun? Or if you did a border and you kept alternating these, that would be so cool. So much fun. Okay, I'm going to initial it and do some shading. All right, are you ready? So we're going to shade the inside edge of these little lined background areas. So we're going to put some graphite all along those inside edges. Just give a little trace. We're trying to go on the inside edge just so that you don't go over that dark line. If you're ever doing a pattern and you put in the shading and you feel like your dark lines disappear, you can go back over them with pen, trace that line again right over the pencil, and it will darken it. Already you can see the dimension happening. Okay, very lightly, I'm going to soften that. I want that middle area to be nice and light and bright. So don't push that graphite all the way into that shape. Amazing. If you enjoy doing fragments like this, in January there's the Fragment of Your Imagination Challenge, and it's the whole month, every day, and we do little fragments like this in squares, triangles, circles, and seed shapes. It's such a fun month. Okay, now I'm going to go underneath these little edges here. And that's going to give the slightest shadow of this tube-like structure. You could even go down like the right side of the middle if you want. And then I'm going to go on this inside little tiny piece here, and I'm just going to put it on both sides of that straight line that goes out to the corner. And it's just going to give a little shadow as if it's kind of tucked in there. Like it's the inside of that tube-like structure. And there we go. That's Middleton. Really beautiful, really fun, very structured. And I'm excited to add it to our larger piece. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to work a little bit more on that. But I'm going to bring it over here. And we don't have anything yet that's a square. We have some, square type shapes inside of things. We have cochombros here that has some very structured lines, Tripoli, but nothing with an actual square. Okay, so now we need to decide, do we want to place it on the compilation with all four? Do we want it to be like 4 fragments like this? Or do we want to do them individually and just sort of set a few around? Oh, I really wish we could chat during this part. It's so hard for me to decide. I think I'm going to do individual little ones. I love it together like this, but I don't know that I want to spend that much time creating a square somewhere. I feel like I would rather tuck some of these littler ones in. Although look at how cool that would look up there. Okay, I kind of really like it in that corner. I'm not gonna lie. So I really have enjoyed that we're building off of other things and tucking things in, but this just seems so perfect up there. So, okay, that's what I'm going to do. We're gonna draw it all by itself, but I think what I'm gonna do is leave off this 4th one so that other organic tangles can kind of come and bump into it, so it's not just a square in the corner. It'll be like just those 3. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Good idea. All right, I'm going to start with my pencil so that I can make my grid. I'm going to make all 4 and then just erase the 4th one, if that makes sense. So I want these to be a decent size. Let's see. I don't know if that's large enough. Okay, that seems like a good size. Each one is about the width of my finger, so plenty of room to draw in. It's almost exactly the size of the square I did on the tile. I'm going to erase the bottom corner, and I'm going to ink in or trace around those three. I enjoy how this is lining up so perfectly in the corner. I think it's going to look really cool. All right. Do you hear my neighbor leaf blowing? There's like a high-pitched sound. I think I need to get a good microphone so that all you hear is my voice and not all the outside things happening around me all the time. Okay, now we need to remember the step outs. The step outs are the order that we make things. Okay, that's very important. So we're going to start with this first one over here, and I'm just going to do the same thing I did on this one. So we begin with a square that goes at about the halfway point here to the halfway point here. And then we do this inside aura of the larger square that bumps into the smaller one. Is it looking familiar or feeling familiar? Okay, now we're going to do these lines where we go from here to the corner, from there to the corner, and there to the corner. And we put an aura in this box. And then in that box, we put a smaller box and we ink it in. And we put that little line connecting the corner to that new box. And then we do the background. It's much quicker when you're just doing one at a time. And then one of the variations that she does is she inks in every other line in this pattern. So it ends up being thick line and then white and then a dark and then a white. And it looks really cool. Now this side we have to match this way. So we're going down. Not turning my paper like I turned my tile. So just remembering that this one goes down. And our first one is done. And now look at that one compared to the shaded ones. What a difference. I always feel like shading also kind of cleans up the lines, you know, or maybe your lines don't exactly touch the edges or they go over a little bit. The shading helps just kind of clean everything up. Okay, let's do this one over here. It's going to match this one. So we start with that square that goes halfway and then halfway this way, takes up like a quarter of that box. And then we do that aura. Inside aura, that stops when it hits that little box. Those 3 straight lines. the box inside, and then the little box that is towards the center of that tile, and we ink it in. And draw the line out. Then we do some straight lines in the background. And these side ones are going down. All right, we've got one more to make over here. So we're going to start with that quarter box, that one that goes halfway and halfway, and I want it to be on this outer corner over here. And then that inside aura that goes around the largest of the boxes. Oh, I made a mistake. Look at that. I ended it here and it was supposed to continue here. It's okay. I'm just going to leave it and no one's going to know. You guys, it's okay to make little mistakes. If I wanted to, I could actually crisscross these and make it on all of them look like that's what I was intending to do, but I'm okay with it just like that. Okay, then we're going to make those 3 lines. That inside aura of the small box. And then that inside corner box, corner square. And then that line going out to the edge. And then I'm going to put in these lines going down here in the background. And across over here. We did it! 3 fragments of Middleton. And again, look at how different it looks unshaded versus shaded. Such a difference. I'm going to start by going along that inside edge of those background areas. And that just sort of pushes that background even more into the background, if that makes sense. Look at that. You can't even see my mistake anymore because I just made another mistake where I had my shading go all the way out to the outside line. So my new mistake covered up my old mistake. So in Zentangle, they say there's no mistakes, that every line is just meant to be and you just go with it. Just go with the flow. Don't worry about it. Just like in real life, we all make mistakes. We all do little missteps. It's okay. Sometimes it leads us to a better place. And if yours is not looking as like bold or dramatic as mine, it just means that you might want to go back and put a little bit darker graphite against those edges. Then I'm going to go underneath these little corner areas here. And I'm also going to go a little bit down one side of each of those. And then I'm going to put a little bit on that corner line, that last little line we made in the fragment. And I'm going to push that out both ways. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to add some graphite to the outside edge of this whole thing over here, because then when we put our next tangle up against it, it will already have this shadow and it will be able to beautifully tuck in behind. So I'm doing it on the outside edge of these, but then where the frame is, I'm going to do the inside edge, which is going to even further cover up that little misstep I made. And going on that inside edge of the frame helps us give that perception that all of these tangles are kind of tucking in behind it. There we go. So my plan was to do those three and then have like a fourth one sort of disconnected and maybe floating over here somewhere. But I think I'm just going to do those three for now. And if I need a filler later, I can always do that. But we still have quite a few tangles to play with, so I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, I hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. We will see you tomorrow for day 19. I think, right? Today was 18. Yes, day 19 tomorrow. Please follow me on Facebook at Let's Tangle. You can join my newsletter at www.mins, M-I-N-S, of O-F, Zen, Z-E-N, Mins of Zen. And in my newsletter, you get updates about the subscription box coming out, updates about other kits, all kinds of fun things. So join me there if you can, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.